Hi folks, John Adamson with Seeking Light. So I thought I'd just do another brief video, and I'm going to probably try to go through this step by step with you. This is the OSHA frequently asked questions about the OSHA ETS. And ETS stands for Emergency Temporary Standards. Emergency Temporary Standards. Now, somebody pointed out in my last video that temporary is not a word that the government actually follows. Everything that is brought on temporarily lasts forever with the government. And I agree. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these questions and answers, and that way we can have a dialogue. What I'd like to do is get people to comment. How can we combat these things? Now, first of all, I want to let you know that a number of states have already filed lawsuits against the Biden administration to prevent these OSHA regulations from going into effect. At least one organization that I know about, that's called the Daily Wire, has filed a lawsuit against, or I think it's called an amicus brief. I'm not a lawyer. Or something to that effect, but they're planning to sue the federal government related to this as well. So there are a lot of entities that are fighting this. The full effects of this mandate go into effect January 4th, from what I've understood. Ben Shapiro of the Daily Wire did a really good breakdown legally of what's going on. He is a lawyer and a very sharp legal mind too. So listen to his podcast he did today. I'm going to read, though, the actual questions and answers, though, on the FAQ, and maybe we'll have some discussion together. So here's question number one that's on OSHA's website. What impact does the ETS, Emergency Temporary Standard, have on state or local government mandates or guidance? Here's their answer. When federal OSHA promulgates, that means puts into effect, an ETS, states and U.S. territories with their own OSHA-approved occupational safety and health plans, and then they put in parentheses, state plans, must either amend their standards to be identical or at least as effective as the new standard. So what they're saying is the states have to be at least as restrictive as this. They can become more restrictive if they want. We see this in insurance. Like, for example, Medicare sets a national standard for the local coverage determinations, that the local coverage determinations have to meet the minimum requirement of Medicare, and then they can make more restrictions beyond that, but they have to at least meet the minimal. So what they're saying is the states cannot be less restrictive than this. Okay, let's continue. Where was I? Oh, yeah. They must, okay, or show that an existing state standard covering this area is at least as effective as the new federal standard. Adoption of the emergency temporary standard by state plans must be completed within 30 days. And that starts now, of the promulgation date of the final federal rule. And this is the federal rule was issued today. And state plans must notify federal OSHA of the action they will take within 15 days. So the states are having to start their reporting. The state plan standard must remain in effect for the duration of the federal ETS. Well, you know what that duration is going to be, folks? Forever, or at least until we get somebody with intact cognitive status in the White House. State or local government mandates or guidance, e.g. legislative action, executive order, health department order, that go beyond and are not inconsistent with the ETS, are not intended to be limited by this ETS. So in other words, they're saying if the states are already doing the same thing as what they're putting out, then fine. They can't be less restrictive. OSHA recognizes that many states have taken action with mandatory requirements applicable to general industry, and that states have additional powers that OSHA does not. e.g., criminal sanctions. OSHA does not intend to preempt these powers or requirements. Of course, they won't preempt them. They're trying to get these as minimal standards. So if the states are already as restrictive or more restrictive, OSHA's work is done. That means nothing. For example, OSHA does not intend to preempt state or local COVID-19 testing requirements or state or local requirements for customers to wear face coverings whenever they enter a hospital or other healthcare facility or in public places generally. And then there's this note. What's this note related to? I'm looking back. This is the sentence. The state plan standard must remain in effect for the duration of the federal ETS. And then here's the note they have on this. Of the 28 states and territories with OSHA-approved state plans, so it means 28 states are already as restrictive. 22 cover both public and private sector employees. So these are the restrictive states. Alaska, Arizona, California, Hawaii, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Mexico, North Carolina, Oregon, Puerto Rico, South Carolina, Tennessee, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, my state, Washington, and Wyoming. The remaining 6 states and territories cover only state and local government employees: Connecticut, Illinois, Maine, New Jersey, New York, and the Virgin Islands. So anyway, that's question and answer number 1. So what are they telling us? Basically, they're going to shove it down our throats if the states aren't already. Surprise. Like, we're surprised about that. Anyway, I'm going to try to go through one question each day. And I don't know what we can say about that, except it sounds like they're trying to make concessions to the states. They're not. They're basically saying if any states try to impose lesser restrictions or go against the government, then they're going to, come down on that state. Welcome to the new dictatorship. This is John Adamson with Seeking Light. God bless. Have a great night.